so-called National People's Congress. On the surface, it sounds like a push for harmony, but human rights groups warn the move could further erode the cultural identity of non-Han ethnic groups. They say it could also lead to harsher government crackdowns on minorities, including Tibetans and Uyghurs. There are also growing concerns that anyone who questions the push for a unified national identity could be labeled a separatist and face legal punishment. The new law mandates the use of Mandarin, Chinese, and simplified characters in ethnic regions, which effectively stipulates at the national level that minority languages may not be used as the primary language of instruction in schools. This follows years of reports that authorities in Tibet, Xinjiang, and Inner Mongolia have already been slashing local language education. What's more, the law even encourages parents to stop using their native dialects at home. It goes further. The law requires parents to guide their children to identify with the Chinese Communist Party. The law also pushes for the so-called ethnic integration, moving minority groups into Han Chinese areas and vice versa. The authorities are incentivizing to reach the population by offering benefits like better housing and good jobs to families who marry across ethnic lines. Analysts say the measures could lead to the breakup of communities where ethnic minorities have traditionally lived together. And then there's religion. The law demands that all faiths follow the direction of sinicization of religion, which means that believers must put the party above their God. Analysts say it's a different story. Several sources told the Epoch Times that top Chinese officials have been holding multiple secret meetings, even drawing lessons from the Soviet Union's collapse. We spoke with Nathan Su, investigative reporter at the Epoch Times, and Bart Marco, a foreign policy analyst and former career diplomat. Nathan, starting with you, your thoughts on the CCP's reaction to the war and its internal push to even draw lessons from the collapse of the Soviet Union.
Well, thank you for having me. Years, the Chinese Communist regime has spent tremendous time and money to learn how all these all these major regime collapse after the fall of Berlin Wall in 1989. The Chinese Communist regime tries to make a lot of effort to study how and what happened in Soviet Union. And the purpose, of course, is to prevent the similar situation happen in the future so that it will collapse the communist regime in China. Now, if you look at the communist regime and Iranian regime, there are a lot of similarities because under the Iranian regime, in every part of government and military operation, they have a religious element over there to oversee and to control the operation. While in China, it's similar. In the military, from the company level up in the society, from the community level up, every level, there is a communist official that's there to control, pretty much control the entire operation. So how if we can finally collapse the whole Iranian regime, that's going to mean a lot of how we're going to deal with China in the future. To focus on the Communist Party officials and their military officials.
And Bart, digging into China, the regime is reportedly censoring searches on regime change online as concerns of an uprising spread among the party. How powerful can real change be, like what we're seeing in Iran? Enough to spark elsewhere?
Oh, absolutely. You know that every Chinese patriot sees the situation in Iran the same way that Mr. Su just described it. They're looking at it, they see the similarities between the religious police and the party commissars, and they see the absolute control, and they are looking to see whether they being the Chinese citizens, are looking to see whether this is the time. I think that they probably are going to be very cautious before they do that, but you know that they're looking at it, and you know that they too are learning lessons from what they see.
And Nathan, one source told the Epoch Times the CCP views the killing of Iran's Ali Khamenei as one of the most significant geopolitical upheavals of the past 2 decades. Do you see it that way?
Yeah, of course. If you look at this newly rise, your nation continental power, this this new continental power have several strongholds around the outside boundary. That's China, Russia, Iran, and North Korea. However, inside of these outside boundaries, those countries, their influence and control by China and Russia, they are much weaker. I'm talking about Afghanistan, and also I'm talking about the other 5 stand countries in Asia. Like I'm talking about that Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, Tajikistan. All these countries are much weaker. Now, if the Iranian regime collapses, then that pretty much means the western corner and western and southern corner of this continental power total collapse, and then the weaker part of this continental power will be exposed directly to the outside influence, and those weaker countries are much harder for China and Russia to control.
And ahead of the strikes, many Chinese media and mouthpieces said that the U.S. didn't have the backbone to strike Iran, given that China miscalculated President Trump's capabilities. More broadly, does this hurt China's image in the eyes of its partners?
Oh, everything that has happened in the past year has hurt China's image in the eyes of its partners. First of all, its hardware has been shown to be complete junk. It's useless against American air power, and it's useless against American special operations capabilities. Not just the air power, the much vaunted hypersonic anti-ship missiles. I've seen a report that China sent 50 of them to Iran. All 50 of them failed to reach their target. They all missed, and the vessels that fired them were all sunk. They have been shown to be an unreliable, weak partner. I think we spoke recently about the fact that Iran was turning to China, asking it for assistance, and all it got from China was a gentle clap and some words of encouragement, but nothing that really matters.
And on that note, Bart, what does all of this mean for Taiwan? Some headlines highlight how this could be a blow to U.S. munition stockpiles that could damage the deterrence against a Chinese invasion of Taiwan. Others believe that this strengthens America's hand as China now knows that the U.S. is serious about striking back. Your thoughts on that?
Let me first repeat what I said earlier. There is no weapon, no munition that is as important as the willpower of the leadership, and nobody doubts the willpower of President Trump or his administration or of the American military. As far as the munition supplies are concerned, we have the supplies available, we have the manufacturing capability available to replace them. President Trump has been working on that since his second inauguration. He's been working feverishly on it. He's been working to replace the rare earth minerals and the other precursors to gunpowder and high explosive manufacturing that we not traditionally, but for the past 20 years have been getting from China. He's already moved to replace that from other countries, from other allies. And I remember reading about 2 months ago that the Pentagon had a $500 billion surplus in their budget that was not obligated. The money is there, and when you have that kind of money, you can buy what you need to manufacture what's necessary.
That's all for today's China in Focus. I'm Tiffany Mai. Tiffany Meyer. The U.S. relies is huge. China has passed a new ethnic unity promotion law on Thursday by its so-called National People's Congress. On the surface, it sounds like a push for harmony, but human rights groups warn the move could further erode the cultural identity of non-Han ethnic groups. They say it could also lead to harsher government crackdowns on minorities, including Tibetans and Uyghurs. There are also growing concerns that anyone who questions the push for a unified national identity could be labeled a separatist and face legal punishment. The new law mandates the use of Mandarin, Chinese, and simplified characters in ethnic regions, which effectively stipulates at the national level that minority languages may not be used as the primary language of instruction in schools. This follows years of reports that authorities in Tibet, Xinjiang, and Inner Mongolia have already been slashing local language education. What's more, the law even encourages parents to stop using their native dialects at home. It goes further. The law requires parents to guide their children to identify with the Chinese Communist Party. The law also pushes for the so-called ethnic integration, moving minority groups into Han Chinese areas and vice versa. The authorities are incentivizing to reshape the population by offering benefits like better housing and good jobs to families who marry across ethnic lines. Analysts say the measures could lead to the breakup of communities where ethnic minorities have traditionally lived together. And then there's religion. The law demands that all faiths follow the direction of Sinicization of religion, which means that believers must put the party above their God. Analysts say we are witnessing a massive paradigm shift in how Beijing handles its diverse population. China has 56 ethnic groups. Before Xi Jinping took power, the ethnic policy was roughly autonomous, where different cultures, traditions, and languages were recognized. But under Xi, he has been pushing a one China identity. He wants every citizen to see themselves as part of the Chinese nation first and their ethnic group second. The new law puts Xi's ideology into a legal mandate. Observers warn the law may provide the government with a pretext for a range of human rights abuses, including forcing minority groups to assimilate and crushing dissent. And the ripples of this law are reaching far beyond mainland China. It explicitly says it's the legal duty of citizens in Hong Kong and Macau to uphold this ethnic unity. It also takes aim at Taiwan, calling for deepened integration to make people on the island feel more Chinese.
There is also the possibility that it will be taken as a legal basis and then extended outward to become a legal foundation for handling cross-strait issues. Therefore, based on the principle of preparing for the worst, we still believe that many of the CCP's actions, which nominally are declared to be for maintaining stability domestically, in fact may also be transformed into long-arm jurisdiction or tools for cross-border suppression, and could even become a possible means of undermining cross-strait relations.
Observers call this a new front in Beijing's legal warfare against Taiwan. It gives Beijing a lot of room to interpret the law as it sees fit, and the number of people it could affect is huge. Beijing's latest
好，来看到中共两会今天结束，人大在今天下午预计会通过所谓的民族团结法。对此，台湾陆委会示警，这个法律呢还提到所谓的推进民族团结和国家统一，恐怕会用在对台湾进行统战，或是成为中共跨境镇压的依据。
中共会在今天下午正式的通过一部所谓的这个民族团结进步促进法。那这部法律虽然它比较重点是摆在对于中国境内有非常多的少数民族但我们也还是会看到说，因为它涉及了境外。然后也提到了要推进民族的团结跟国家的统一所以当然也有可能就会把这个当成是法律基础，然后外溢到来去变成是处理两岸问题的一个法律依据。所以我们还是基于这个料敌从宽会认为说中共有很多的这个作为，名义上是在对内宣称要维稳，但事实上也都有可能转化为长臂管辖，或者说转化为跨境镇压，甚至也有可能会变成是破坏两岸关系的一个可能性。事实上不只是我们西藏的朋友、香港的朋友，就连本会陆委会在去年大概就收了10几次的这个炸弹威胁的一个恐吓比如说我印象非常深刻的就是连外面电影院在播国有器官，他也要来恐吓我们陆委会。那还有很多的黑数可能不见得有揭露出来，但是我们已经掌握到的这个部分大概就有超过100例，在2025年的时候，那范围包含的像是企业，包含的像是个人，包含像是政府官员，还有民意代表等等。
新闻大破解，破解大新闻。